So what I've been looking at and exploring recently is the idea of non-linear use of samples. So the sample that I've got sort of written up here is one that I made in Fugue machine, and I'm going to show you a little screen capture of me doing that. So once I sort of played around and recorded it, I exported it as a movie and then just basically extracted the audio and then turned it into a sample, which is this one here. And let's just hear that again here. So you get the idea. So essentially, that would be like a recording. So that recording can be played from the start to the finish, and we can listen to it as a linear piece of media. So we can listen to it. But really, my kind of way of looking at stuff now is that, okay, so I've prepared a file, I've made it in some application, I kind of like the way the pitches work together. I've sort of varied the way that the pitches all interact with each other. I've created lots of variations. And what I would probably have done before using something like Sonic Pi, I would have taken the full file and then sort of sliced it up into lots of smaller sections and sequenced those together in Ableton. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, still do that. But for this, I'm sort of much more interested in sort of seeing what I can do with Sonic Pi. So now the idea would be basically to play the sample and to play it in some sort of way, like using slices. So let me just I'm going to paste the code in, save me kind of writing it. Actually, I should just have done that. So what we have here, we have a live loop. Don't worry about this sort of bit here. I should just take that out because at some point it's going to start synchronizing with other things. Still going to play the sample. So sample is the equivalent of play. We define a start point. So the start point is 0. And I'm going to define a finish point. So for Sonic Pi, the start and finish goes anywhere from 0 to 1.0. That's it. So basically you take your audio file and Sonic Pi will split it into that. So let's try 0.1. I'm going to make this quite long. Let's say to make it 4. And then you can address the slice. So let's say we address slice 1. So usually it slices it up into 8 if I recall, off the top of my head. So let's take the sleep down a bit. So there's a little bit of overlap. So what we might do is change the finish point, because it's quite a long file. I think it's about 7 minutes. So let's try 005. Let's try 001. Now we're talking. So let's do a sleep of 0 to 5. Now we're sort of in business. So this is our kind of benchmark, as it were. So one of the things that we might do is randomize the slice point, right? So this is slice point 2. So the thing about sort of preparing this audio file, and I must admit I didn't really spend a lot of time preparing it. I spent more time just kind of playing with it and moving it around. This way you get to generate these sort of somewhat interesting places, right? So one of the things we can do is to put those numbers into a ring. If we want it to be linear, to step through the samples, then we'll do tick. Now that we have that, we can move the start point. Let's say we move the start point to 0.02, and then we make the finish point 0. Let's make it 2.5, see if that works. So every time we keep moving the start and finish points by some kind of approximate amount, we are able to, the ring slices can remain the same, but because the start and finish points are moving around, they enable us to access different parts of the audio file. Now obviously everything here is going in a straight line. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we wanted it in reverse, let's reverse the line first and then tick. So it's going backwards, right? If we wanted it not to go in a straight line, we wanted it to be a bit more randomized, then we could use choose. Now we get a whole host of sort of audio slices. So that's what we have there. So this gives us this kind of an approach to non-linearity, let's call it, right? So preparing an audio file in advance that is melodic, but maybe I don't want to, that's only really the raw material. That's just the beginning of what might be a piece. And then being able to slice that up and address specific slices. I mean, for example, let's say that we only wanted to identify slices that were prime numbers. I'm going to have to remember. So within that, let's say we can only address those numbers, right? So that gives us lots of kind of, potentially interesting places to go to, because again, it's no longer linear. We could lose, let's say we just do 2, 3 and 7. And because it's still choose, it's not too linear. Again, if I go back to the tick, it will go in a straight line. So now you can hear the imposition of this kind of threes against it. You don't hear this, or you don't detect it when you're using, say, choose. I mean, it comes through occasionally, but not very often. Okay, so that's the first part of that, and see you in the next bit.